The king of silver has spoken. And we'd be smart, right, to listen when the king speaks? And he has some interesting things to say about silver, and gold for that matter. But will that include $100 silver? Guys, I have the ultimate silver video for you today. We've got even more to cover as well. Does silver have you crying tears? Tears of sorrow, or should they be tears of joy? Remember that word tears. It's going to play a key component in the second half of this video. Let's get started right now. What do you think would happen to the price of silver if Elon Musk and Tesla moved into the silver mining business? They need a ton of silver to build electric cars, to build solar panels. And there continues to be legitimate speculation that Elon may soon move into the silver mining business. That could be nothing but very, very good for the price of silver. Now, recently there was a big conference in Hollywood, Florida, the BMO conference, where the top mining executives from around the world gathered. Kitco News talked to the king of silver himself, Keith Neumeyer. Now look, I've called Keith Neumeyer the king of silver for years. He's highly respected in the silver industry, and he had some fascinating things to say about what he's seen going on in the industry. We were told that the auto industry had a presence at this BMO conference. I think even Tesla was there. Now, they weren't specifically looking at silver companies yet, from what we understand, but they're there because they know they're going to need these critical metals, critical minerals to produce their cars going into the future. Do you know how much silver goes into each Tesla car? When you're driving down the road in your 18-year-old Acura TSX like me and a fancy Tesla drives by you, you can visualize 1 kilogram of silver, because that's what Keith Neumeyer estimates is the amount of silver in every Tesla. That's over 30 ounces if I have my numbers correct. And don't you forget those tears, T-E-A-R-S, that you're crying over silver right now. Because that E, I'm going to give you a little hint, that stands for electric. Nothing conducts electricity like silver. Nothing. So does it make sense to us that Elon Musk is now following Wall Street silver and that Tesla is starting to make investments into mining companies? It's not a stretch of imagination to see that they could soon be moving into the silver industry. Is it okay with you if I take care of a little business? First, we need to talk about the bear. He hurt his foot. Yes, he wants to be like our friend Sam from down in the southern United States, a regular viewer. Sam, take care of that foot and get well soon. Next, we need to say hello to Steve. Steve had the audacity to say that if Susie won't bring coffee when I ring the bell, that he will send me some from Costa Rica. Steve, Sam, and you too watching right now, I appreciate you being here with me in the basement. Did you know that in 2023, it's estimated that 160 million ounces of silver will be needed for the solar panel industry alone? For 2023, it is estimated that for the automobile industry, 100 million ounces of silver will be demanded. The demand for silver continues to skyrocket. We'd like to thank our sponsor, First Mining Gold. They're a Canadian gold developer with 2 world-class projects in Canada. They also have a handful of other projects. When you total up all the gold in their resources, it comes to over 12 million ounces. They're worth checking out. I'll put a link to the company's website in the description below. Now, you might want to consider that in 2022, total production of silver, it was around 850 million ounces. So when you factor in those demand numbers into the amount that's being produced, heck, Solar panels and automobiles are eating up more than a third of the world's silver production alone. And in 2022, there was a deficit. That means much more silver was demanded than was produced. And I think it was even a record, like 200 million ounces. But what's even more astounding is that they're predicting in 2023, total silver demand could be almost 1.4 billion ounces. Remember, guys, just last year, total mine production, and you can't turn that on and off, total mine production, about 850 million ounces. So we are running huge deficits in the silver industry. What do you think that'll mean for the price of silver? But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, that gap in silver that needs to be filled, they can fill that with recycling. Well, don't you find it interesting that between 2016 and today, the amount of silver that's being recycled has dropped by 50%. It went from like 250 million ounces all the way down to just 125 million last year. Don't you worry, I haven't forgot about those tears you're crying over silver, but let's talk about a few final things that Keith Neumeyer said. He made an interesting point that he wishes the silver producers would get together, form almost a co-op, so that they together could control selling silver to the retailers, to the consumers, the big solar panel manufacturers, the automobile industry, because he feels, and I think we all feel as well, that the price of silver is so manipulated in the paper market. Now, I'm not putting words in Keith's mouth regarding that, but I think it's a general consensus in the silver industry that the paper markets, the electronic markets, do work to control and manage the price of silver. How do you feel about $100 silver? Keith Neumeyer, the king of silver, as I like to call him, he coined the phrase triple-digit silver years ago. I believe in my heart that it will happen. Let me know how you feel about it in the comment section below. In his most recent interview, he shared that this year he could see silver going to $30, that it could take a little bit longer. Interestingly, he did point out that he could see gold going to $3,000 this year. Let's hope he's right. Hey, the little bear over there, you guys know, the big bear, that's the gold bear. His blindfold comes off at $2,500 gold. That could happen this year, according to Keith. But the little bear, he's the silver bear. And his blindfold says $85. That's because we're not going to take it off until silver hits $85. Maybe I'll ask Keith if he'd have the honor of removing the blindfold from the little bear when we get to $85 silver. Oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. I understand all these tears over difficulties in the silver market. Let's talk about tears. T stands for thermally conductive. Did you know that silver is the second most thermally conductive compound, metal, whatever you want to call it, in the world? It's pretty interesting when you learn that the number one thermally conductive element is diamonds. And then I was thinking about it. Maybe that explains why we have diamond-tipped drill bits, right? Because they get very hot and they need to be able to maintain their roughness as they go through concrete and other hard structures. Nonetheless, it's an important component of silver that it is so thermally conductive because it can be applied in many industrial ways. I forgot to ring the bell to signify that we're in school, we're learning. I hope Susie doesn't run down here with a bunch of coffee for me. How about the E in tears? That's electric. There is nothing on the planet that is more electrically conductive than silver. It is the base by which everything else is measured. It is 100. Copper, I don't know, it's like 80 or something like that. So the measurement for electric conductivity is based on silver, and that's why it's so critical in so many industrial applications, right? Electronics, solar panels, electric cars, you name it. The electrical conductivity component of silver will be a huge factor in future demand as we move into the next decade. Can you guess what A stands for? I bet the little silver bear here, I bet he knows the $85 silver bear. A stands for antimicrobial. That's right, silver kills bacteria, fungi, and even some viruses. Did you know that's where the term born with a silver spoon comes in his or her mouth? That's where that comes from, because hundreds of years ago, the wealthy people who could afford pure silver eating utensils, that's what they did because they knew that silver kills germs. So do you think maybe that's why silver is continued to be used in all types of medical applications? Do you think that will continue to be a robust source of demand for silver as we go into the coming decades? We haven't had any problems with viruses or anything lately, have we? Let's talk about the final letter in tier. That's R, and that is for reflective. Did you notice when I held that 10-ounce silver bar up to the camera that yes, 95% of the light was reflected back to you, my gift to you? That's because silver reflects 95% of light. It is the most reflective metal on the face of the earth. That also explains why it's used so extensively in solar panels. Now, my question is, and maybe you can answer this, where does the other 5% of the light go? And the S, I'll leave that up to your imagination. For now, I'll just say silver. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something about what's going on right now in the silver market that can influence price as we move into the coming years and decade. I remain highly optimistic. I see a price target of $85 in the near-term horizon. When I say that, let's say 2 to 3 years out. Keith Neumeyer, he's calling for triple-digit silver, $100 silver. And I won't argue with the king of silver. One thing for sure, even if we move through more choppy waters, you know I'm going to be here for you in the basement. You know you're always welcome here. I really do hope you find a home away from home when you visit with me down here. I want you to come back. Until next time, you be well.